Welcome to the Hopper House. So, today we have a minor issue. And that minor issue is that this hardware that came off of my very old skateboard over here finally gave up the ghost. Parts of this are nice, but these are plastic trucks and they're really bad. Boy, these have seen better days, to say the least. What we have here is an old skateboard of mine from the 90s. And it's a good board, but what makes it kind of special is that it's totally flat. There's no dish to it whatsoever. It's 8 inches wide, which is wider than most skateboards you see these days. And it's a good sturdy board. All right, I believe it's a Nash manufactured board. Yeah, so it's an old Nash, if you can tell it. Manufactured board, so not super expensive at its time, but I remember distinctly paying for this back in the 90s, so that's not cheap for its time period. You will notice that I've gone ahead and pulled the trucks off of this, and you can see the minor variance in color after 20 plus years. I could probably clean this up, but you know, I kind of like it sweaty. And we are going to take the equipment off of this Walmart board here, and we're going to put it onto this skateboard, with the idea being that I want to use this board as a cruiser. What do you think, Johnny? I want to use this board as a cruiser. This is not like a trick board at the skate park or whatever. I want to be able to commute with this board, and these wheels, the way they will be set up on here, would make this a pretty functional board for commuting. It won't be a long board, but it'll do everything a long board can do while also having, you know, some of the attributes of a regular skateboard. So it's a nice hybrid, and that should make it sort of functional for what I want to do. And it gives me the opportunity to help the young man and the other young man and their sister, if she'll come hang out, learn to do some of this kind of work. So that's going to be a fun experience. All right, so let's get back to work. Now, one problem that I know we're going to have is that the spacing of the screws that hold the trucks to the board on this board are a little different than they are on this board here. So I know for a fact that we're going to have to do a little bit of work to make this fit, but it shouldn't be a big deal. And again, plenty of room for learning experiences for all included. So let's get to it and see if we can get this done.
Let's get to it.
And not get injured. And here we go. So our problem is that these trucks that would have gone here are not the same size as these trucks that go here. And after measuring this board against some other boards here, I find that this board is pretty non-standard. All right. What I've done is I've got a old paintbrush here that is pretty close in size to the holes found in the board here, and I'm just going to tape this off from the opposing side, and I'm going to put some glue in the holes, or alternatively on the wood here, and I'm just going to stick that in there and clip it off. And I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, let that dry, and then I'm going to re-drill using the trucks as a pilot to drill out the new holes. are now in there. And I'm just going to wait for my glue to dry, which will take a little time. Then I'll sand these down to be completely flat to make putting on the other trucks a little easier. Now, what I like to use in this kind of situation is expanding Gorilla Glue. Boy, it really bonds so well to wood of this fashion. So it should take a few hours to kind of set up and be where it needs to be for me to come in and sand everything down and reinstall the new trucks. So I'll be back with you in a little bit. Black ones, Jenny.
Chapter 11, Louis Fabulous. Friday. I went to the class early to drop off contest prizes. Then I tried to hide from everyone. Miss Featherbottom started hooting. The first... No. Ask questions.
Just remove.
Maybe reread it a little bit and you can take an error quiz on this.
Watch out.
I can write it out to Miss Easy on so she can help you with it. Flip on the computer. Did you like the book?
What do we think about the cruiser board? Well, here's what I have found. Getting these trucks adjusted was no easy task because the bushings are like, they're hard plastic, for lack of any better term set. They are literally just hard plastic. So the rub here is that the board does well even on this kind of crazy ground. So you can get this thing on pretty rough terrain and it still survives, which is the goal here, because with harder wheels hitting material like this with these rocks and this kind of rougher pavement, well, you're going to go down hard and it's going to hurt, and that's not ideal. So softer wheels is the goal here, and with the softer wheels, again, you can ride and commute and go where you need to go, and it does just fine. Those real soft wheels help out for that as a concept, and they make traveling a little easier as well. I mean, it's not suspension trucks, but you're not going to rattle your bones riding this board around either. So in the world of a good commuting skateboard that still has a look of a skateboard and does its thing, I'm pretty happy with this. And it has a little bit of provenance because I've owned this thing longer than, well, most modern skateboards of a given shape have existed. I probably, again, bought this at some point in the mid-90s, which is pretty neat. So yeah, this is my, it says Hobie, but it's a Nash. This is my Nash skateboard. My goal is to commute a little bit with it, just get a little exercise as opposed to driving. And I'm pretty happy with the way it's set up now, so not bad. All right, you guys have a great day.